How's it going, everybody? So this right here is kind of a dual video, and I'll try to pause it and do a lot of stuff where you don't have to watch me tear everything apart. But remember the Mutt build that we were doing that was completely from the ground up. Everything, all we used was just the chassis rails, and everything else has pretty much just been custom and out the door, just added on. So I did put a little body hinge thing in the rear, and the reason I've done the magnet mounts and the body in the rear was my brother John gave me a freaking badass model body, and I trimmed it out and put the interior in, and it turned out pretty awesome, I think. And so what I did though is I ended up using the mounts. I probably should just do some magnets back here, but the problem is it sits a little bit different height than like a standard SCX body. But so yeah, I ended up putting the screws in the rear. You can see them back there. So whenever I want to run this body, I just attach it to the little hinge, and then it sits on the magnets. And if I want to run the other body that I did, because I couldn't really make up my mind on what I wanted to do, so I figured I would do this body for indoor courses and everything else because it's sentimental. I don't want to get it jacked up. And this one right here I did, and it's going to be for like outdoor and just a beater because it's just the cheap little Betty body. And so I glued the little magnets on the bottom there, and you can hear it. It mounts right up, and it's kind of hard to film today. I don't know why, but my new phone with the case on it is a lot heavier, so I have to set the tripod a certain way where it just keeps wanting to tip over. So anyway, that is the Mutt in all of its glory, and I'll do a video here soon because we just got our second course built, and it's fully ready to run. So I still need to do some limiting straps. We will get some rubber bands on that. I tried a lot of different things. I even bought some little chains, like a little necklace chain, the stainless, and I put little loops on it, and I counted out the links, and what a pain in the ass. And I got all this stuff bolted on to where I had limiting straps on this one, and what a pain in the ass, and it didn't really help a whole lot. So that idea is kind of out the door. Maybe if I cut a few links out, but what a pain. It took way too much time. I'll just use rubber bands. So anyway, but yeah, so I just 3D printed these little mounts. I haven't secured them yet. Running the little screw into them kind of destroys them. So I don't know, maybe I'll have to get some PLA Plus to run those. But anyway, so that's the finished Mutt build. And so let me see. The thing we're going to do today is we got some of these Overdrive gears. And I've already changed. I changed out one of my rigs. Just the little C10 that we've got. And it had the same tires. But those Swampers are just too big. And everything rubbed. I mean, I already trimmed the body. But everything is just perfect for that. I really like these. These are kind of like a Wrangler style tire, but yeah, I really like it. And we already went ahead and I did the gear upgrade in this and greased the rear, and boy am I glad that I did that. And I'll tell you why here. In fact, I'll show you why, because, well, I don't know, this isn't a SCX24 axial brand rear and front axle. These are actually those cheapy ones that you can get off of like the Chinese little websites and stuff, the Temu and Alibaba and all that crap. But they are actually really nice. They've got a ton more weight to them. So if you, and they come with the steel little knuckles and everything. So yeah, I mean, you don't really have to add any weight. So, and they come with the steel covers. Everything on them is pretty heavy. But we're going to open it up, and we're going to put an Overdrive gear in the front, and we're going to check them out, because whenever I built it, I didn't open them up and check them. I should have. Big mistake. But I haven't really drove this one a whole lot. So to change those out, and I will be pausing it here and there, but I'll tell you step by step, and then that way if you're following along, you can pause it and do whatever. But what I did on the other one was I left the little linkage bar. I've seen people do it different ways. So what I did is I unscrewed this little steering bar here, okay, the one in the front, left it attached, and then I just undid the knuckles, okay? And then once those were free, I did take the tires off. So take your tires off, undo this little bolt, undo your little knuckles, and be very careful. Your little bushings will fall out, and you cannot buy them anywhere unless you want to buy a whole knuckle set to get those stupid bushings. So do not lose them, and they do go flying out sometimes. So anyway, yeah, undo top and bottom knuckles, this one, and your tires off, and then that should give you full access to your cover where you can get your differential open. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to pause you here. All right, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I'm probably going to have to splice this video. I'm not sure where it kicked off, but so we went ahead and we removed our steering arm and our knuckle, and our bushings stayed in the knuckles, so we're good. And so you can pull these little shafts out if you want. But the other thing that I forgot to let you know that you're going to have to remove is the drive line, which is just one screw. And so I'm going to take these differentials, or yeah, the differential cover off. Sorry, it's been a long day. Yeah, and I went to pause the video and I noticed it wasn't recording. I wasn't going to make you guys suffer through this, but too damn bad. It just takes a second. Yep. Probably should have paused this, but whatever. You guys have that little 30-second skip option on there. If you haven't used it by now, that's all your fault. All right, I'm going to pause it just for this. This might be a little pain. Okay, got those out. They were just a little pain in the ass, but we got them. So now we're going to pop this cover off, okay? And sometimes, yep, there we go. Sometimes your bearing will stay in there. If you're using stock differential covers, like you have your plastic ones on still, then those bearings will stay in there, and they are kind of a pain to get out. I got them out without damaging them on my other ones whenever I upgraded, and actually, just looking at this gear that came in these, I almost want to say that they are already overdrive, but I can't be sure. I'd have to count the teeth on them. So the reason, and they don't look like they really have any grease on them. They definitely have some oil. I don't know if you can see that very good, but they're definitely a little bit oily. But these were the stock ones that came in my just SCX24. It came right out of that C10 stock. And I was getting some brass flaking coming off. And I kind of wiped them down just a little bit, and then I stopped myself. But yeah, it was really starting to kind of have a bad day in there. I mean, let me see. I put a little piece on a napkin here, but I think I ended up losing it. But you can see the little O-rings that came in there. They were almost disintegrated. I mean, it was just grinding them to death. And I really haven't ran that C10 a whole lot. I mean, I don't know how long I've ran it, but yeah, not definitely long enough to see chunkage coming off of the gear and little pieces of brass. And so the ones that I got, these ones, again, these are just some cheapy brand. They're not a Trill. They're not any brand that I know of. Well, who knows? Maybe they are. Who knows if Trill doesn't just throw their name on these and sell them to whoever. But these are definitely a steel gear set. Both are. And so I know that a lot of times you want the brass gear because it's kind of becomes the weaker link. And so if it's going to have a come apart or whatever, you know, then that's where it's going to fail. But so you just pull these little teeny shafts out, just a hair, and then you should be able to just kind of give her a wiggle and a pull, and you'll have her out. And like I said, this is the brass one here, and it looks pretty good. I haven't really ran this one a whole lot, like I'm saying, but no grease on it, just pretty much oil. And then, so you want to leave your little bearings in there. Those are your two little bearings. If they pop out, just realign them. And then for the worm gear, okay, it just slides out once you've disconnected your drive shaft off that end. Now, the other thing that I'm looking for here is there's no O-ring on this one. See, and whenever you get the stock ones out, they have little O-rings. And here's an O-ring right here on the front, but you should have one on the front and the rear. So we're missing that one off the rear, or maybe they just didn't put it in there. But anyhow, so that is the factory set. And so to get these guys out, they come with little O-rings. I did notice that a buddy of mine has the Trill ones, and they came with quite a few little O-rings. These guys, they give you exactly what you need. They just give you two. So, and I'm horrible at remembering the gear ratios, but these are the Overdrive. They're just the one speed above the factory because we just want to have a little bit of a speed difference on the front here. Help with our steering and help with climbing and all the different stuff that I've seen or heard about using them. It's definitely pretty beneficial. So now we have that guy on there like that. And let me see, where's the grease at? So this is just some grease that we use for greasing little things like our impact guns and things like that. And so I'm just gonna wipe some of it in here. Give it a little coat there. And so if you can see down in there, the bearing is still down in my differential. When I pulled the one out of the C10, it came out and was stuck on this little shaft. And so it was definitely a little bit tighter fit. But it also had a rear O-ring, which was just demolished. All right, we lost her. There we go. All right. And she fit in there pretty easy. And now this bad boy. So I'm going to take a little bit more grease. I'm just going to come inside here. Just wipe her down. All right. And so this part here is kind of the bigger pain in the butt. If it doesn't go in the first couple of tries, then I'll pause it and go. But your little shaft has a flat spot on it, and I guess I can show you with this gear. So here you have like a little flat, it's not a hole, so it's like a little flat, so it has to line up a certain way for these little shafts to go into it. And so, and not only do they have to line up, but they also have to line up forward and back on this. So sometimes you have to really play with it here. Guess I could have looked at how it was oriented before I dropped it in, but all right. So I'm gonna pause it and then I'm gonna pull it in and out and mess with it. Okay, so once you found it, like it right after I paused the video, it dropped right in. Then you know that you have to turn this one the same way, and make sure that you keep your little pins in there. A lot of people are always saying, oh, after I did this and this with my axles, I hear noise. Well, it's usually these little pins whenever you start getting those out of whack and everything doesn't line up good. So there we have that. And I'm going to put just a hair more grease on the inside of this little diff cover here. Just like that. And then we'll set that back on there. Okay, and so remember, you got your O-rings front and back on your worm gear. And you want to line your bearing back up. And there we go, just like that. So then all I'm going to do, since I've got those two in there set, is I'm going to put my little servo back up on here, and then I'm going to run my screws in there, and I don't think you guys want to watch that again this time. Alright, so we've got that back on, and then we're going to put our little steering knuckles and everything back on, and same thing, you want to make sure that everything lines back up. Keep your bushings in your little holes and keep your bearings inside of them, because they do kind of want to come out the front like that one was. So you just want to make sure that they're lined up good. Make sure that your little pin, see that little pin right here is starting to poke down just a hair. So I'm gonna, I got grease all over that. So I'm just gonna kind of move it up just a little bit, because if you don't get them in there fairly straight and stuff, you might end up having problems. You might hear something rubbing on it, and whenever you put it back together, you're gonna go, damn it, coal crawlers, what the hell are you guys telling me to do here? Because it's all making clunkety noises now, and we don't want that. I don't want to have your rig being crappy. We don't want that. Oh, you evil thing. All right, there we go. Now we're sitting a little bit better. And I dropped a bearing, I swear. When you do this stuff and you're not filming, it goes so much smoother. Every time you put a camera on it, it's like, makes you feel like you're doing it with the world watching. All right. Cool, so there we go. We got our knuckles back on. Okay, and then you just want to rotate them back up. Just get them up and over, and then whenever you get them up and over, then you'll just run your little screws down there. And I'm going to pause it while I do this because it is a pain in the butt. All right, got those pains in the asses on there. All right, we lost a bearing. We'll slide that back in there, just like we never lost it. All right, now we got to put our little top screws in. And you know, whenever you're doing this kind of crap, these little tools make a world of difference. For a long time, I was just using those stupid little Allen wrenches that come with everything. And man, those suck. You know what? Spend the $4 and get yourself the little freaking 1.5 Allen wrench. Spend another 7, 8, 10 bucks, whatever, and get you the 4.0 box so you can freaking do your rims and tires in seconds instead of forever. All right, now we're going to hook this bad boy back up too. And also another thing to remember, guys, I know I said it in one of my previous videos, but when you're doing this stuff, just go finger tight, tiny snug. If you go way overboard on them, you're going to end up snapping them off, and you're going to be buying new knuckles. You're going to be, oh, of course I had to land this thing where it was vertical so these little pins can fall out all day long. So then we're going to just put our little, oh, you know what? We had another bearing fall out and it rolled over here. So we'll put that little bearing back in. Yeah, just double check all your stuff as you go, guys, because I didn't even hear that little sucker fall out. Just like that one. Awesome. So yeah, put your little pin in. Stay in there, stay level. That's the biggest thing whenever people tear into these and then they start hearing noise and all kinds of crap. Oops, almost put the wrong tire on. You know what? I'm going to actually make sure that everything's on both sides before I start that. I'm just going to go ahead and pause you guys. This is some more boring stuff. Sorry. All right. And so whenever you go to put your drive line back on, sometimes your little worm gear, it's facing the wrong way or whatever. So I just put the little screw through it, and then you can just give her a little turn. See, and I'm not lining up right there, so I'll just pull this bad boy out, and I swear everything turns into, I'm going to pause it. And then we just go a little quarter turn on that, and then that lines us up pretty good. Now just to get her on. Give her a little shake. Yep, there we go. All right, and then just snug her up. Okay, and so that's the front end. She's all done. We've put her back together. Our tires are on and snug, not too tight. And I won't do the rear. The rear's exactly the same, except for you don't have to pull off all this bull crap unless you have rear steer. And I don't know. In my opinion, if you have rear steer, you're killing half the fun. So I don't know. It just makes it too easy, I think. But whatever. Each their own. You want to do rear steer, do rear steer. But it just seems like a bigger pain in the butt for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little piece of tape. What I've seen just about everybody do is they put a little piece of tape on here, and then we'll run it. I'll try to hold it and run it, and then you can see the speed difference that it gave us from front to rear. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and not bore you. All right, I just made some crude little pieces of tape and then just drew a line on them and got them lined up pretty close the same. So the other thing that I have never, I don't think, mentioned in any of my videos is just the process that I was taught on how to power up and get your little rig up and going. And I don't know if I'm correct. If I am, let me know. If I'm full of beans, let me know too. So what I've always been told is that first thing you want to turn on your remote, okay, little transmitter. And then you want to plug in your little battery, okay, and then you want to turn it on, okay. So with that, I've never had any problems. I've never had anything just start smoking right out the door. None of that. So I'm going to try to keep this in the shot here. So you can see my two pieces of tape, okay, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of throttle. So they should be turning at the same rate. But you can clearly see that the front one is now faster. And there's a spot here and there where they will sync up just for a few seconds. But other than that, they are definitely at a different speed right now. So, and there you go. I appreciate everybody's views, likes, comments, subscribers. It's been really awesome. Yep, I really appreciate it. We're just trying to get out here and have some fun, guys. And oh, there's that little worm gear. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep all my old stuff, never throw it out, maybe label where it came in. Like I said, this one looked like it was already a different ratio than the factory one. It just looks, probably even looks like a little bit better cut too. So I don't know. I mean, I'll have to end up maybe counting it up and I'll put it in the comments, or never really thought about counting the teeth and putting that in there, but yeah, maybe we'll do that. So I really appreciate all the views, and get out there, crawl, have some fun. Remember, it's just for fun. It's not a, I don't make a living doing this. I just do it for fun. So try things. If you try a shock and you don't like it, you don't like the position, a lot of people are going back to the factory stock shocks, and I kind of see their point. I did with the little Bronco that we did, and the reason was because I was getting so much like lift, body lift, and it was already so top heavy that even with the longer shocks, yes, it gave me a little bit more articulation and flex, but without the limiting straps and everything, it was kind of, it was really a big pain in the butt. And so, yeah, I turn it off, unplug the battery, and turn off my transmitter. So anyway, yeah, a lot of the stock shocks, the travel's not there. So it actually works almost like a limiting strap, where I have these bigger, like 48s and stuff. They definitely give you a ton of travel. And I've played around with, the rear has no springs. The front has half the spring because it's a double spring and these ones. And I don't know, we're still just playing around. We're still in, let's play around with it phase. But yep, so there she is, finished up. We can go either way. I really like this one, but this one does definitely take, oh yeah, and with this one, you're not able to fit the 900 milliamp battery. So with that, whenever I run that body, I definitely have to put the stock battery back in it, which is not a big deal. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot for viewing, and have a great day. Coal Crawlers out.